Let's get on to the video. A little bit of a Letterboxd style interview video. I have seen all these videos on my TikTok pop up of like celebrities on red carpets getting asked, oh, what's your top favorite films? Like 4 favorite films for Letterboxd. And I'm like, that is my dream. That is my dream. I want to be asked that question like everywhere I go. But I can't do 4. Guys, I can't do 4. I've had a Letterboxd since I was 15 and I take it way too seriously. Every like review I've done has just been like a full essay. I just wanted to share a few of my favorite films. A few of these movies I've talked to my friends about and they're like, oh, I've never watched that before. I've never heard of that. And if I can share just one extra good film that someone hasn't watched, dude, I die happy. I die happy. But yeah, I've got a little bit of a setup here. Got my laptop because obviously I had to read my reviews of Letterboxd. So I'm gonna start this off strong. The Starling Girl. This movie understood something about religious repression and the specific kind of attention seeking that comes from growing up in an environment that tells you your feelings are wrong. It's pretty much how 17 feels. It's kind of like the entire weight of the world is on your shoulders. No one's really there to guide you. The age gap in this film is definitely uncomfortable and it's supposed to be. Eliza Scanlon always manages to leave me starstruck. Her performance is consistently incredible. It's one of those films about girls making life-altering mistakes on the road to self-discovery, and I think that's kind of where I found myself most in this film. If Ethel Cain's Preacher's Daughter was a film, it would be The Starling Girl. And I know I think I heard somewhere that she's writing a book or like wanting to make a screen adaptation, but metaphorically, if it was a film already, it would be The Starling Girl. Craziest scene in this movie to me was when she had to apologize and he couldn't even look her in the eye. Like in front of the entire church, she had to apologize for him literally grooming her. And he couldn't even look her in the eye and he was like, I forgive you. Bitch! What? Anyways, I rewatch this a lot and maybe it's just for Lewis Pullman in the white t-shirt, but maybe it's also just because it's an incredibly good movie that I think a lot of people haven't seen yet. Next movie is The Diary of a Teenage Girl. This is one of the most honest films about female adolescence ever made, and people don't talk about it enough. It's uncomfortable to watch, and I think that's the whole point. Minnie is so authentically chaotic and self-destructive, and like such a real and grounded, dropped-in character. I think the animation sequences are incredibly beautiful, and I feel like we should honestly keep it strictly to women making and directing coming-of-age films about girls, because you can really tell when there's been a female director or producer or writer, because it's just so refreshing to see a film focus on female sexuality that's completely from the female point of view and from the female character's point of view. So I really want to thank Marielle Heller. I think that the people who think that this movie is a glorification of grooming need some serious media literacy, because like what? But in saying that, it's definitely uncomfortable. I think it's supposed to be that way, and I think it's a very realistic and raw and brutal portrayal of what it feels like and what it is like to be a young female going through, you know, like figuring out your sexuality, sexual awakening and everything. So it's really an important film. Next one is Miller's Girl. Okay, look, I know, but Jenna Ortega in this film, I think, is genuinely one of her most underrated performances. People were so distracted by the discourse that they missed that it was actually a pretty decent film. The writing and the poetry of it all was the main game changer for me. I honestly and truthfully put this movie on whenever I need to lock in. Just to prove my point, I put a little bit of a quote from the film in here because I wanted to share, because this part in the film really got me. I don't know why, but it was just like, I want to write a 10-page essay because of this film. She was an electric white moon, shadow moon, casting cold light like water over the flat earth of my face. Don't look into the sun, they said, but the moon, The moon, I stared until I was nothing but a bleached bone monument beneath her. Human ruins of a madman's love. What? Dude, The next film is Yes God Yes, and this is like Lady Bird, but hornier. It's so funny and it's so specific and accurate to what it feels like to be a teenage girl growing up in a religious environment and just trying to figure out how your body works and like what is happening and going through, I guess, changes and discovering your sexuality, like a lot of the other films I mentioned. But Alice is one of my favorite characters ever, and I think Natalia Dyer does not get enough recognition for this film specifically. It's a really great watch if you went to a same-sex Catholic high school that forced you to go to multiple religious retreats when you had to socialize with everyone and say what you learned at the end of the day, like you weren't forced to be there and weren't having the worst time of your life. And I know for me personally, like, I think that happened a few times in high school, so I really loved this movie when I was kind of like 16, 17-ish. The next film is Coraline, and I think if you haven't seen that, you probably had a really great childhood, because I think that this film permanently horrified me as a kid. I mean, like, the button eyes, the other mother, and like the whole parallel life thing. If anyone thinks that this is a kid's film, you have genuinely repressed the memory and you blocked it out because of trauma, because it was terrifying. And like, now as an adult, I can look back and like genuinely appreciate the art that goes into every single shot. But as a kid, I was like, what the fuck? And I think it was genuinely a guilt trip into making you grateful for your parents. Like, yeah, I love my parents, but like, you didn't need to scare the shit out of me as a kid just to like, dude. Cultural impact of this film remains like unmatched. So honestly, it's a 5 out of 5 film for me personally. Sub YouTube. He loves me, I swear. Just say you hate me. Next film is Dinner in America, and I don't have a massive review on this one, but this is the neurodivergent representation that I think I've needed all my life. Genuinely, the way that they've gone about this film and the main girl, she's so authentically herself, but they don't mock her for it, I think. And that's what I love about it. She's like operating on her own frequency. The soundtrack to this film is incredible. The scene where they're like in the arcade and My Kind of Woman plays. Oh my god, that is my favorite scene like ever. Okay, so I actually have our first show review, Overcompensating. Ivy Woke said something about how young people should be putting media out about what it's like to be a young person while we're young in this time. Even though she's controversial, I think she has said a few crazy things, but I believe in that strongly. I think that's a main reason why I'm writing my short film the way it is, about young people and like kind of like a friend group of our age. And because it's so painfully obvious when someone makes a movie about young people who isn't young. You know, you always see those films and it's like, pull on my up, I need to post on the tube. It's like, dude, you're like a 40-year-old man, like, why are you trying to do this? Because we can always tell, and it's always cringe and it always gets bad reviews. Young people need to be making film and media and everything about what it's like to be young right now, instead of us doing it later when we're like 40 and like looking back. It needs to be made right now in this moment. I don't care if it's shitty, put the shitty shit out there, because at least it's there, like a freaking time capsule. We don't want to be making it later on, you know what I mean? Like, get out there, create. Anyways, back to the review on Overcompensating. I wanted to say that this show gets our generation in a way that almost nothing does. And what I mean by that is, like I said, it doesn't feel like it was made by like a 40-year-old man who has never heard Party For You by Charlie XCX, yet alone downloaded TikTok. It feels like it was made by someone who has like multiple edits of Jacob Elordi saved in their TikTok. And I know that it probably was. Benito Skin I see you. This show is so over the top and brutal, and I think that like the satirization of Gen Z is perfect, because even though they're like, this is a piss take kind of, and it's like a comedy, I know these people. I look at the characters and I'm like, dude, I literally met that guy last week at the freaking Met, like the straight like alpha guy, like, dude, I met you. Like, I know these people in real life. So it's like, that for me is what made this show. The next film I'm going to talk about is Bottoms. And the thing about Bottoms that I need to explain is that it doesn't feel like a gay film in a way that a lot of gay films feel like gay films. And I know that sounds super complex, but a lot of queer representation in film and TV has this quality where you can feel like the effort behind it. Like someone in a boardroom went, okay, here's your representation, and like gave it on a like freaking plate. Like it was like, oh, you guys want a film? Here, let's make something really sad and depressing where we're basically their best friends, and the other girl likes her, but then basically she dies and they don't get to be together. But this film is like so funny, and it's about two average lesbians who start a fight club to get girlfriends, and you don't even need to talk about the representation because the representation is just built into the DNA of this film. Like, I love when a queer film or like a queer TV show is so funny that you forget to make a comment on the representation, because the script is so sharp and so smart in a way that a lot of films aren't, and it's like, this is just a good film and the characters just happen to be lesbians, and it's not like some like sad, depressing, like, it's like so good, and I feel like it just does something in a way that straight films just don't do. I said it. The next show is Victorious, and I know it's a freaking Nickelodeon freaking show. Guys, I need everyone to understand that Victorious built my personality growing up. I was a Cat Valentine girl completely. I think that's probably like when I was like super undiagnosed with like ADHD, but I found myself in Cat in a way that I didn't find myself in a lot of characters on children's television at the time. And now that I'm older, I'm definitely more of a Trina Vega. You know what? Which is definitely a different kind of humbling, but it's fine. The thing about Victorious is that I think it gets undersold a lot because it's genuinely an edgy kids TV show. And it's compared to lots of the Disney ones that are about like the Thundermans, and like, I watch that shit, but like the Thundermans, and like, dude, I was an ABC kid as well, so I don't want to be putting it out there that I was like some rich kid with like Disney, but I got Disney in like grade like 4, I think, but like, I've had ABC kids, I know what it's like, but I don't like at Disney. The next film I want to touch on is Lady Bird, and I think you guys have had to have seen that coming, but Greta Gerwig directed and wrote this one, and I think it's probably one of the most quietly perfect things ever. I relate to Christine so much. I mean, like, her suffocation in Sacramento is exactly how I feel about Brisbane. Mother-daughter relationship in this film is the best I've ever seen portrayed on screen. It's not like villainous. I think that the mom loves her daughter and that love comes out sideways, and I think, you know, Lady Bird loves her mom, but that love also comes out sideways, and I think they're both right and they're both wrong in the film, and I feel like that is like such a perfect representation of what it is like to have a relationship with your mother in that kind of specific way. But yeah, so that's like my Letterboxd interview for you guys. I honestly had to move around like 10 different times this video. Because it's so, my posture is so bad. Doing YouTube is genuinely gonna strain my back out because I have to sit like this. And I'm like, that was my video for you guys. I am gonna put out more. Honestly, this one was a really long one and it takes a lot of listening and sitting, and that's not my forte. That's honestly why I don't come onto YouTube to do, but I just wanted to do it anyways because I wanted to put out a scripted video for you guys, and I'll do an unscripted one soon. But I love a lot of different shows and movies, and that didn't kind of encapsulate my entire range. Oh, also, my American accent. I'll do one for you guys. Okay, so for some reason I can only recite Bible verses. Virgins. Bible verses in American, and it's like a Texas accent. Dear Lord, thank you for this opportunity to come stand before you today in your holy presence. I forgot the rest of the Bible verse. And glorified. Bless your blessings on us. And yeah, subscribe next video.